Hi everyone, my name is Fernanda Segovia, and today I'm going to talk about the New England colonies. These colonies were founded between 1620 and 1640, and they include cities as Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and New Hampshire. The New England colonies, most of the people who settled there was English Puritans who came to America looking for religious freedom and a better life. Even though they want freedom, their societies were actually very strict and centered around religion. But what makes the New England colonies really important is that they help develop ideas about self-government, democracy, and education that later influence on the United States. So, in this presentation, I am going to explain the main characteristics of these colonies, their economy, society, religion, government, and also some very important documents that these colonies bring to the history of the United States. So, first, I need to show you as a general overview about this video. First, I'm going to explain more details about each colony, starting with Massachusetts, then proceeding with Connecticut, Rhode Island, and New Hampshire. Then I am going to present like a timeline summary about the information that I already provide, and then I'm going to explain about some characteristics in general of the New England colonies. And also, I'm going to explain more about these important documents that I mentioned that bring some important information to the United States history, okay? As well, giving a conclusion at the end. All right. So, starting with the first colony, that it was Massachusetts. Massachusetts was the first and most important colony in the New England. It was found in 1620 by the Pilgrims at Plymouth. Later, in 1630, the Puritans created the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Their government was basically a theocracy, which means that the religion and the government were connected. So only church members could vote at first. But they also had something called town meetings. This mean that the men in the community could came together and vote like on local issues. This was one of the first examples of direct democracy in America. About their economy was based on fishing, trade, shipbuilding, and small farms. Their religion and education were very important in their daily life. Sure. So then let's talk about Connecticut. Well, Connecticut was founded by people who left Massachusetts because they want more freedom, both politically and religiously. Their leader was Thomas Hooker. What makes Connecticut very important is that they create the fundamental orders of Connecticut in 1639. This is considered the first writing constitution in America. It created a government with an elected governor, a legislature, regular elections, and also expanded voting rights because it didn't have to be a church member to vote anymore. This was a big step toward democracy and the idea that government gets its powers from the people. Mhm. So let's verify about Rhode Island. Well, in the case of Rhode Island, this it was found in 1636 by Roger Williams. He believed that church and state should be separate, that everyone should have religious freedom. Was very different from Massachusetts, where religion controlled the government. Rhode Island welcomed people of different religions, including those who were not accepted on the other colonies. Because of this, it became the first colony with full religious freedom. Its economy was based on trade, fishing, and shipping. And just to finish with the colonies, we have New Hampshire. Regarding to New Hampshire, was found in 1623. At first, it was part of Massachusetts, but later it became its own colony. Its economy was similar to the other New England colonies with fishing, lumber, shipbuilding, and small farms. Most of the towns were located on near to the coast. So this is the timeline of the information that I already provide about the colonies. So let's move on to the characteristics of the New England colonies. Okay, sure. So about these characteristics, um, let's verify first about their economy. As I mentioned before, on each colony, these were based on fishing, shipbuilding, lumber trade, small farms. Regarding to their society, was made up mostly of English families living in small towns with strong communities. The religion was very important, especially for Puritan beliefs, although Rhode Island that has the religious freedom, and they had town meetings and traditions of self-government, which were early forms of democracy. They didn't have large plantations and had a much smaller enslaved population compared to the southern colonies. So, overall, their society was more equal and community focused. Now, I want to talk about more about these two important documents that bring to the history. First, with the Mayflower Compact, it was signed on 1620 by 41 Pilgrim men on the Mayflower before they landed in Plymouth. They create this agreement because they were outside of the authority of the Virginia Company, so they needed rules to govern themselves. In this document, they agreed to create a government based on majority rule and to make laws for the common good of the colony. So, this was important because it introduced the idea of a social contract, which means that government exists because people agreed to create it. So, it's also showed the idea of government by consent of the governed, which later became a key principle in the United States. Then, the second document is the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut from 1639. This was the first writing constitution in America. It created a formal government structure with an elected governor and legislature, established regular elections, and expanded voting rights. The most important idea in this document is that the political power comes from the people, not from the church or not from a king. So both of these documents influence later democratic ideas and even in the US Constitution. And about as a conclusion, in conclusion, the New England colonies were very important in early American history. Even though they were small and had a difficult environment, they create strong communities based on religion, family, and education. They also develop early democratic practices like the town meetings, writing constitutions, and the idea that government should be based on the will of the people. Documents like Mayflower Compact and the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut help introduce key ideas such as majority rule, self government, and political power coming from the people. Because of this, the New England colonies helped build the foundation for democracy in the United States. So, thank you for watching. I hope you had a great week.